everyone, and welcome back once again to I've Been Playing. Today, we're talking about what else, even though I'm a week behind, Resident Evil 4 Remake. I am going to preface this entire discussion with two things. Number one, I am only about 2/3 of the way through the game, so I don't know what the ending is like, and I don't remember it very well. And number two, I only played Resident Evil 4 for the first time 4 or 5 years ago, so I don't have quite the nostalgia for it that other people do, although I did enjoy it. That also means that I don't really remember it very well. I only played it the once. I am kind of recognizing things as I go and sequences of events and stuff, but I don't actually remember it, except maybe the beginning part, the village part, which I'm already past, very well at all. So I can do nothing but apologize. If you're unaware of what the story of Resident Evil 4 is, it follows Leon once again as he goes to Europe, presumably Spain, although from what I've heard, it's actually Latin American Spanish and not Spanish, but he's over in Europe looking for the president's daughter. This is several years, I believe, after the events of Resident Evil 2, and he gets himself in a bit of a pickle once again, because the villagers and everyone you encounter in this area, the village or the 3 different areas, they're infected by a parasite, Las Plagas. So he ventures out there with a couple of cop buddies who are there to kind of guide him through the area, and very soon after they stop. They don't quite arrive at the village directly, but they stop, and then the one guy takes a while, the other guy's like, hey, I don't know where he went, why don't you go check it out? And then he is dead. Obviously, eventually you find him in a basement. I say eventually, this is all like the first hour or so of the game, not even. And yeah, you get attacked by villagers, Leon jumps out a window, he gets attacked by more villagers in the center of the village, the place that is kind of probably the iconic Resident Evil 4 location. The castle's pretty big too, but the village at the start of the game is probably one of the most recognized places from it. And I mean, from there it's a Resident Evil game. I don't know what to tell you about it. Again, I don't remember specifically where the story goes, especially towards the end of it, because I haven't gotten to replaying that bit yet. But you go through the village, you fight the big bad of the village, who is a horrible monster. Spoilers. Is that a spoiler? It's Resident Evil, come on. And then you go to the castle with Ramon Salazar, who every picture I saw of Ramon, I hated. I absolutely did not like his redesign from what I saw, because it was that one really god-awful angle that everyone was showing that made him look like, I don't know, it just wasn't a very flattering angle, I guess, is the thing, because I walked up to the bit where he suddenly appears and was like, oh god, it's time for his horrible new redesign face. And from that angle, it does look terrible, but actually when it's in motion and when the camera is going in the game and shows him from different angles, it actually looks much better. I mean, he doesn't look good because he looks like a zombie, but he looks much better than that one very unfortunate camera angle they chose to highlight him with. In terms of how it runs, it seems to run okay. I am playing on my Xbox Series X for this particular game. There's been a lot of texture pop in at every time I turn the camera, and I'm pretty sure I'm on performance mode, whichever one favors frame rate, so I guess that makes sense. But it's kind of surprising because I don't really remember that happening with the other Resi remakes or even Resi Village, like the newer Resident Evils. I don't remember it being quite as consistently noticeable, certainly. I don't know what that's all about, but it's there. But in terms of smoothness, it is smooth, which I would hope. Again, really enjoyable. I'm finding it incredibly hard. I don't remember the original game being as hard as this is, and I think part of it is because the sensitivity is perhaps too low and I just haven't changed it yet, but it feels like it takes— okay, Leon is supposed to be specially trained, he's gone through a ton of training, he's done all this knife stuff and gun stuff and training, and he can't shoot worth a damn. I mean, I can't shoot worth a damn, but it feels so awkward sometimes to shoot. It feels like it takes much longer than you would expect. Sometimes, not all the time. I don't think there's any sort of aim assist, which is not a problem. I just still haven't quite gotten used to it, and I think it's probably also just the speed and the amount of enemies combined that I just haven't mastered it yet. I'm getting through everything, but I am getting frustrated, and I don't think it's the game's fault. I think it's my own fault. Or at the very least, it's half and half. But, I mean, Capcom have been nailing these remakes and even the new Resident Evil games not 100% of the time, all of the time maybe. Like Resi 3 was definitely less well received. Resident Evil 8, or Village, I guess technically, wasn't as scary except for that one bit that's frickin' terrifying, which I mean also isn't necessarily a problem. It's just true, and I don't think, again, overall it was received quite as well as Resi 7. But I mean, it's definitely a great remake. All of the Resident Evil remakes have been great remakes. My only hope is that they do Code Veronica next, because I bought Code Veronica, but it's like the Xbox 360 still really awkward to play version, and I can play it that way, but if I can play it nice and cleaned up and pretty, and with controls that don't suck, that'd be great. So, you know, if you're a Resident Evil fan, if you're a fan of the other remakes they've done, if you never played Resident Evil 4 before or couldn't get along with it because of the controls, this is pretty much, from what I remember as I'm remembering it as I'm playing, beat for beat the same. Obviously there is more to it. There's a little bit more with the merchant specifically. You have more kind of things to do with the merchant, a lot more trading, a lot of putting gemstones into treasures and turning them in, which I think was a thing before, but it seems more complex now. There are 19 different missions you can do for him, as opposed to like the few there were before. I know there were some where you had to shoot medallions, and those are still in there, but there are others as well, like kill rats, kill this extra strong monster in this specific area, that kind of thing. And there's the shooting gallery still there as well, but it's a little different because you can customize. You can win charms to customize your attaché case, and those give you different buffs. There are also different, I guess, skins for the attaché case that you can equip, and they'll make certain resources drop more often. I think you can have up to 3 charms equipped at a time. There are 3 slots, certainly. I only have 1, because I've only done the shooting gallery once, and I was lucky enough to win a rare charm the first tokens I used, and I was like, yes please, we're not doing the shooting gallery anymore, because I was getting disproportionately mad at the fact that I wasn't doing well. So I walked away from that and haven't done it since. But you can do that as well. You can customize. There's a lot of unlockable stuff. They've been doing that a lot recently. You can unlock models. You can unlock concept art with challenge points that you earn for either, you know, completing a chapter, doing a specific thing, killing a certain number of enemies with a certain type of gun, that kind of thing. That's in there. I think it's really good. It's one of the few games recently where, I mean, normally I do like to kind of collect things as I go if I can, but I don't necessarily backtrack so much, at least not the first time I play a game. It depends on the game, depends on the type of game, depends on whether I expect to play it again or even like it enough to care. But this is one of the first recent ones, or certainly one of the most prominent recent ones, where I am actually going through each area, trying to collect as much as I can, trying to backtrack if I get, say, a key to open a drawer, that kind of thing, which is definitely a mark in its favor, because not many games, even though I hate seeing all of the little icons on the map, there aren't really many games that have made me feel compelled to do that. Basically, I think I said this already, but if you like Resident Evil, or you want to get into Resident Evil 4, and you like the other remakes, or you liked the other remakes, I guess, this one's great too. What can I say? They've been knocking it out of the park with these. And those are my thoughts on Resident Evil 4. Have you played it or replayed it yet? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.